This is Pharaoh's Visor of dsdatabase.org, and we're taking another look at the Nintendo 3DS today. In particular, we are looking at how legacy DS games work on the 3DS. That is to say, not the 3DS games, but the ones of a generation back. For those of you that have been paying attention, you'll notice that the launch lineup for the Nintendo 3DS is rather weak. There's only a handful of titles for the North American release, the European release, the Japanese release, and in my opinion, there are even fewer titles actually worth a purchase. So as a result, currently the only game I do own is this Street Fighter 4. For those of you that are familiar with me on my forums, you'll know that I am not a huge fan of fighters, so I got tired of this rather quickly, regardless of how superb this game was. So I had to resort to playing classic Nintendo DS games. It's kind of odd calling them classic when they were the current generation just a few days ago. Anyways, here is my Cosmos Black 3DS. I don't know if you can see it with the lighting. Here's the circle pad if you don't believe me. The 3D icon and the overall shape. This is the 3DS. And I've loaded up Pokemon Soul Silver here for you guys. And first thing I thought I should mention is that they made good use of the icon. It's stuck onto a cartridge and it spins, so I thought that was pretty neat. I guess I should move on. So this is Nintendo Pokemon Soul Silver, and I'm just gonna boot this up. You'll notice pretty quickly, if you watch the clock at the bottom, that the load times are a little longer than on the DS. Now, I know that various gaming sites have put up charts that have bars twice as long, and it looks pretty bad, but aside from that initial load time, I can honestly say that I didn't really notice any problems. However, that's about all that I can say, because as soon as Pokemon Soul Silver booted up, I couldn't help but notice that there is a distinct difference between how this 3DS looks compared to the regular DSi. So I've booted this up. I've only loaded sound on one of them so that it doesn't get too overwhelming, but alright, here, you guys can, let me just readjust the camera here. Okay, so if you can see, there's quite a dark blue here. The blue is very dark here. The words are very crisp, the endings here, all the outlines are very crisp on the DSi. However, we move on to the 3DS. Take a quick look here. The blue is hardly as dark, so there are definitely some color problems. Oops. Where's the start button? Okay. So there are definitely some color problems. The blue is not as dark around here, and the outline of the words. Okay, I don't think you can tell with this, but there seems to be a very jaggedy look to it. You can almost describe it as a bit grainy, the entire picture. And I believe, first off, the main problem is the color, but the jagged look is also problematic because of the scaling. Now, the Nintendo DSi and the DS Lite, they're both 256 by 192. That is their resolution. On the other hand, the 3DS is 800 by 240, or rather 400 by 240. That is what each of your eyes see. Now, if we trim this off and this off, we're probably looking at around, I don't know, 350 by 200, 240, sorry. So, as you can see, it doesn't scale perfectly. It is not a 1:1 or 1:1.5, so there is an odd ratio. And what that does to a screen, it means that let's say there's one line of pixels here, one line of pixels here, one line of pixels here on the original DS. What happens on the DSi is that 1, 2, 3, and every third or fourth line of pixels will have to be doubled up. And that's the same for the horizontal aspect too. So you get this odd scaling effect. It's not that it looks bad, it's just that for very sharp items, you'll notice a difference. You'll notice that, for tiny text, there are characters that don't look right. And let's see. If you guys can see this, the bottom screen here, you'll see again that there's a certain grainy look to it. I can't really... It doesn't show up well on the camera, but... Great. I have a corrupted save file. But, again, the words on the DSi are very sharp. Very sharp. Sorry there's no autofocus on this camera. It would have worked out a lot better. But, the words here, they're not quite as sharp. I know I'm nitpicking. It seems like I'm nitpicking here, but believe me, it's not. Now, thankfully, someone on the forums pointed out that there is a way to start the game in the original aspect ratio, and that is by holding Start and Select together. So, if you hold Start and Select together, you'll notice that there is this black trim. Let's see if you guys can see it. Yes. So there is an obvious big trim here, and up here, a lot of wasted space. The words now look right, however the color is still an issue. The over here, it's still not as dark, it just, something doesn't look right when you play it and you've been playing it for a while. And it's not just Pokemon Soul Silver. So I'm just gonna pick a game at random here. And let's see. Alright, so this is Luminous Arc. Oh, I thought I should mention as well that if we compare the loudest sound, so there's the DSi running in the background, and here's the 3DS running as well. Again, there's obvious load times, and just trying to position it so that both of them would be equal in terms of sound. That's the Luminous Arc opening scene. Okay, so what I wanted to point out is that the 3DS is actually a tad bit louder. So that is actually pretty encouraging, and it actually sounds a little better as well, in my opinion. Now, if we look at this video, again, did you see the jagged edges on that guy's face there? Okay, this one looks pretty good, but yes, jagged edges all the way through. Jagged edges, is just, it just doesn't look as good as it would on the DSi. And it carries through all the way through. Let's see. These letters, see, this C over here, the copyright sign, it normally looks perfectly circular on a DSi. However, you can see that there's some flattening over here and flattening over here. Let's see, can we see the difference here? Probably not unless you're looking at it side by side. But overall, I would say that if you are planning to get rid of your DS Lite or DSi, think again, because you have to see this in person to notice it really well. And you might even have to look at it side by side, and some games are affected by it a lot more than others. But you're going to have to trust me on this, that it looks a little worse on the 3DS. And if you want to keep it at the original scale, you lose so much space that it's like not having a DSi and having a DS Lite. It doesn't scale like the DSi. The DSi and the DS Lite scaled pretty well back and forth because they are of the same resolution. But because this one's slightly different in its resolution, there are edges that should be smooth, that are jagged. There are circles that aren't circles anymore. And the color, I just don't know why, but the color of the top screen is considerably worse than the DSi. I think it has something to do with the 3D screen, but the DSi looks brighter, the contrast is a lot sharper, and it just really, like, I didn't even know about this problem. It was the moment I booted up Pokemon on this 3DS that I noticed it immediately. And then I went online and found out there's this scaling issue, that there's other people that obviously notice the problem. So again, if you guys are planning to play a lot of DS games on the 3DS, you're going to have to know that there's a slight difference in how it looks. There are load time issues, and basically what I'm saying is that the experience just isn't as good. Now, if you can live with that, because this isn't a huge issue, it still loads up, it still looks reasonably good, then go ahead, sell your DS Lites, DSis, but I mean, they're not fetching much on the used market anyways, so I definitely consider keeping your old DSi or DS Lite for now, until it looks better. Again, it probably seems like I'm nitpicking because this video doesn't show it very well, but you should definitely see it in real life, because I'm telling you, anyone that played a lot of DS games, or like one particular game, will tell you for sure that the game looks different. So thanks for watching.